Hi everyone and welcome to episode 3 of Covering Liverpool, the podcast with me, Neil Jones. And after the success of episode 1 with Paul Gorst, the success of episode 2 with James Pearce, we thought we'd up the ante. They're great guests, but what they haven't got is Champions League winners' medals and many appearances for Liverpool. My new guest has Jamie Carragher. Thanks for joining me, Jamie.
Thanks, Neil. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I mentioned obviously what you've got from your playing career. We're not really going to focus on that in this interview. We're going to focus on your post-playing career and your career in the media. It's flown by, but this summer was 10 years of you in the media at Sky. A long time, but almost as long as your playing career. But it's how do you reflect on that first?
Yeah, it's gone quick, and I just remember something popped up on social media. Not so much about the media side of it, but the fact that it was 10 years since I'd played my last game for Liverpool. So it popped up, and I just felt it had gone so quick. And then you realise when you're a player, and you don't realise until you finish, but you know your career is probably about career as in like. You know, playing at the top level. It's probably not for most people 15 years, if you like, probably 20 to 35. But it's such a small part of your life, really. And I feel like I'm 5 or 6 years away from that, and that'll just fly over. I know it will. So there's definitely more longevity, I think, in the TV. Yeah, you can carry on a lot longer. But it's gone quick, but I've loved it.
I was going to say, I got the impression, I've heard you speak on other shows and other interviews that you've given about maybe not enjoying your playing career as much as you should have, or you might have, or you were expected to. That's not the case for your media career. You give the impression to me that you absolutely love what you do.
Yeah, I love doing what I do. I certainly don't get the highs in it that I do as a footballer. I don't get the lows.
Yeah.
So that's when you talk about not enjoying something as much as you should, because I could never get away from the results. I could never almost stand back as a player for Liverpool and say, okay, it didn't go well today, but I'm playing for Liverpool. Yeah. You know, it's a great thing to have done. You couldn't. You were that cocooned in, you know the result and what the next game was, and you don't have those, ups and downs. And in the TV, sometimes you'll do a show on normally a Monday night football game, or a big game where you're commentating on, and you think, oh, I didn't nail that, I didn't get that quite right, or I can do that better, and it'll be on my mind a little bit for the next time I do it. I was like that as a player, but never to the extent as the playing career. So more often than not, it feels like, seeing with Liverpool doing well. I mean, since I've been at Sky, Liverpool have been brilliant. So, I still am affected by Liverpool results. So it's sort of worked hand in hand, where I feel like a lot of the time I'm in a good mood, where that wasn't always the case when I was a player.
So when did you know you were going to go into the media, really? Because I'm right in saying that you did Euro 2012. Was that for ITV?
Yeah.
And so that's a year before you actually may take the plunge. When did you decide that was going to be for you, the media?
I think it was almost official in my own head after that tournament. And when I think of the panel I was on, it was a great panel. It was myself. Well, there was 4 of us, and there was only 3 chairs. So there was always one of us would miss out on certain games. It was me, Roy Keane, Roberto Martinez, and Gareth Southgate.
Wow, okay.
And it was really interesting with Southgate when you look what he's gone on to do. He was the one who maybe knew he was going to go back into management, because he didn't really say too much, or,
measured.
Yeah, really measured. He was very careful not to be critical of anyone, didn't really go that deep on things, but that's the way it was. But when I was a player, I always say when I was in the dressing room, people thought I was going to be a coach because I was so obsessed with the game. But also, when I look back at it, I was obsessed with the media as well around the game, even when I was playing. So I was probably the first one in the dressing room to have kids, really. So I'd drop them off at school, 8:30 in the morning. I'd be at Melwood for 9, and most players weren't getting in until 9:45. So I'd go straight in the press room.
Yeah.
And I'd read all the papers of, what the news was, the football news. So I was always aware of everything that was going on. And I didn't mind doing interviews, especially if it was like a proper sit-down interview with someone from, like, normally be a Sunday paper, something like that, a big double, I'd probably do 2 or 3 of them a year, but I enjoyed it. And because I wasn't in the media, I used to watch every other game and read everything, so I'd have a lot to get off my chest. It might be an opinion on, not so much just us, it might be anything in the game. So I used to enjoy it and think, oh, well, and I think, if I'm being honest, I think people used to enjoy interviewing me because I used to give them something.
Definitely, yeah.
Without, I'm not saying, just to create headlines, but it was obvious I thought about the game and had opinions on it. So I actually think I was made to go on, not so much TV, but be in the media and give opinions, because I am always aware of what's going on. I'm obsessed with the game.
That's funny because I was done a show with Chris Bascom recently, and he was saying that he remembers bumping into you at the Echo Sports Awards, I think he said it was, and he said you knew about his sort of situation. He was a bit like, oh, you said, oh, you're getting the top job, are you, or something like that. So you obviously took an interest in who, not just what was being written, but who was writing it. What was the sort of the media landscape, if you like. Was that the? I mean, I think you've spoken about having every magazine, every paper or whatever. Was that always the case for you, that you took an interest not just in what was being said, but who was saying it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I was well aware who maybe the big journalists were in the country. I mean, I wasn't obsessed with that. I used to always watch the show, and I enjoyed it. It used to be called Hold the Back Page.
All right, okay. Yeah.
So that was basically what Sunday Supplement was.
Yeah.
But like 10 years before. But it'd be on a Friday night.
Right.
So I'd watch that.
On Sky, is this?
Yeah, on Sky. That'd be on. Then it became Sunday Supplement. It was then Sunday morning. Because if I'm being totally honest, right, a lot of journalists know more about football than players. And I could tell that by watching those shows and the way they spoke about things and the information they get and the people they speak about in the games. Sometimes in the dressing room that you're in, a lot of people are not that interested in the game. So I was actually interested to hear what they said and their opinions and what they knew. And normally it'd be London journalists, what was going on down at Chelsea or Arsenal.
Yeah.
You'd have a few little secrets. And their opinions on the game, I always thought were pretty decent. And I do think with a lot of journalists, that's the case. I think too many footballers, I'm being honest, dismiss the media as in like, oh, he's never played the game.
Yeah.
I don't go down that route of that, because I don't think you need to have played the game to have an opinion on the game, or to think your opinion's valid. And as I said, a lot of journalists are probably more obsessed with the game, even though they haven't played at professional level than a lot of players.
What about TV in terms of, because obviously I suppose when I was growing up, it was sort of Andy Gray and Alan Hansen were sort of the two most prominent pundits. Did you look at people on the TV and think, oh, they I mean, we all have opinions on pundits. I'm sure you found that out in your 10 years. But
you don't look at my time.
No, I wouldn't fancy your mentions, to be fair. I don't like my own. But did you look at people and think, oh, they've got the right style, or they, like when you're going into the media, are you conscious of not being too much like someone, or taking a little bit of what someone's like?
Well, when I was, you're right, it was Alan Hansen on Match of the Day, and it was Andy Gray on Sky, and I preferred Andy Gray, if I'm being honest.
That's your Everton roots that coming back.
Maybe. It was, and the reason I say that, I just think, I always felt then, and I still feel now, but it's not, I don't think that the difference is as big. But I think Sky were sort of at the cutting edge of sort of new technology and camera angles, and sometimes I'd see Andy Gray find an angle, I'd be thinking, how's he spotted that? And you'd show a clip, and whereas Match of the Day was almost a case of just showing the highlights. Yeah. And the analysis after it was decent, but it wasn't as in-depth as what I would like. And I used to always say that, I've said this to Alan Hansen, I always think he was a little bit sarcastic. Yeah. Sometimes, when his criticism, and I don't mean that in me, I mean like, if someone wasn't good enough or a new team's gone up. So with me on Sky, if I'm being totally honest, the three teams who come up don't look great. It looks like they're going to struggle. It looks like Luton are going to struggle. Shouldn't really be critical of them. I almost just think they're out of the depth. Yeah. So for me, I wouldn't go, what are they doing here? That's it. Yeah. I almost just say nice things about them, really, because it's not my problem, really. So so I always preferred probably the Sky angle. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I end up at Sky. Yeah.
When you go in, were you nervous going in terms of not just being on, so some it's obviously it's live TV, it's whether it's pre-recorded or not, but you're very fresh out of the game, so you've got people you knew from the dressing room who were still playing, you've got managers that you know. Were you nervous going in that you were gonna, there's gonna be an incident where I'm gonna have to have a go at one of these, or I'm gonna have to sort of criticise them for missing chances or getting sent off or whatever?
No, I wasn't, to be honest. I mean, it's almost funny what the dressing room thinks of you as a person. I wasn't obsessed with being everyone's mate or someone liking me. So I'm not like that in normal life. I think I'm a decent lad. I'll do everyone a favour. And if someone doesn't like me, I always think, well, that's I haven't done nothing. Yeah. I don't think I've ever really let anyone down, or in general. So if someone doesn't take to you, it's a bit like, well, I don't take to some people. I don't look at myself on that much. And in the dressing room, I a big personality, a big character, having a laugh and a joke with everyone, tried to make people, feel part of Liverpool. But it wouldn't stop me pulling them up in training or on the pitch. I wouldn't go away thinking, oh God, I might have fell out with him or stuff like that. Because I'd just go in the next day and just be normal again. I don't know what they were saying privately or whatever in their own made. So it was not something that ever worried me as a player, if I'm being honest. So it was never going to worry me too much on the TV. Really, so it never really came into me. The only one was obviously was probably Steve. Steve was still playing, and we were that close. And then in his first year, he stamped on a Man United player, and I was in the studio.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my God! But I had so long to think about it, and I actually did, blow my own trumpet. I got a lot of sort of pats on the back from people at Sky over that.
Yeah.
Because I think I
didn't duck it.
Yeah, I didn't duck it.
You couldn't duck it, to be fair.
You couldn't duck it, but almost. Said everything, but almost explained Stevie's mentality.
Yeah.
It was a moment of madness, but he has them a lot.
Yeah.
Against
Everton, Man United.
Man United. So we got I think he'd done it as soon as he come on. So he had sort of like the whole second half.
It was 40 seconds.
Yeah. No, what I mean is I had so long to think about, what I was going to say. I was thinking, I want to word this. And I'm thinking, oh God. And then I went through it. He got something against Everton. He got Man United before. It's just like, and Rodgers had. Brendan had not picked him.
Yeah.
And so I think he was steaming with that. So I actually, without having a go at him, I sort of probably got it just right, really, in the analysis of it. But anyone else at Liverpool at that stage, no, I didn't. I wasn't really that close to anyone who had that much of a connection, really, because it was a new team.
I remember you telling me in an interview we did a few years back about Daniel Sturridge. Did Daniel Sturridge pull you at it? Was it end of season sort of friendly? And was it in Australia, was it? Or...
Yeah, because I mean, when you actually think of where Liverpool are today compared to where they were when Klopp first came in, Klopp's first summer, so he'd probably only been there 6 months. The club went on an end of season tour to Australia, and we couldn't sell the tickets.
Yeah.
And they asked me, Stevie, and Steve McManaman came.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, McAteer was it, maybe?
Was he? I always thought it was just the three of us.
Yeah.
And it was almost to sell the tickets.
Yeah.
Probably Stevie more than me. But, it shows probably where the team was and the club was at the time. And so we went on the trip. So we spent like sort of 4 or 5 days with the team. It's how long it takes us to Australia and all that. And I'd said Klopp should sell to Daniel Sturridge. And the reason was not in terms of his quality.
Can't rely on him, sort of fitness-wise.
And he's probably the only one you get decent money for.
Yeah.
If you were thinking about reinvesting in the club, I don't know what the figure would have been at the time, to be fair. And he pulled me on it. I actually quite admired that. He pulled me on it. But I just said, well, I said it because of this, and this.
Yeah.
He's the only one who else in here is going to get any money for, really.
Yeah.
It's a poor squad. It wasn't great. So that happened. So I haven't had that too much. I've had that thing where, what's stupid, where you have said something about someone.
Cristiano.
And then, but I'm not bothered.
Yeah, but yeah. That was the famous one where he,
love that.
I mean, he's done it to others since.
I wasn't as terrified as Gary. But no, there's definitely times when I've been critical of maybe a Liverpool player or different. And I'm not deaf. When I get to a game, you can see there's that little bit of
frostiness.
Yeah, no, doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
I can understand it. I get it. I was probably the same as a player. But no, it wouldn't stop me sort of saying what I believed in. In terms of the club or the manager or the team. So no, it doesn't. No, I never thought about that.
One thing I think stands out about you, and all of the guys on Sky really, especially yourself and Gary, I suppose, but is that you're obviously from a certain era of playing, but you've obviously got a real good grasp on the modern era. Do you feel a little bit fortunate when you did retire? You'd had that year with Brendan, and you'd maybe had a little different experience of a more modern kind of coach that gives you that insight into, you're not just talking about old school type managers, or you've got that also that understanding of what the modern players getting in terms of data, in terms of coaching.
Yeah, I think it was good with Brendan, because people forget and sometimes give Brendan a little bit of criticism. He was a little bit ahead of his time, really, when you look at it, because when he first came into Liverpool, he was asking us to do certain things, and I was thinking, I'm not sure about that. And you see the way the game evolved and where we are today. But that is one of the biggest things in punditry. You can't be seen, and a lot of people get this criticism. I think some of it is unfair to certain people who are older than me. They call dinosaurs, whether that's a manager, whether that's certain types of pundits who've been in the game a long time. I think you've got to be very careful. I don't think I'll ever be called that.
Yeah.
Because I'll make sure I'm not. And that's not going against my beliefs of how the game's played, but you've got to understand the game's evolving, it's moving. These managers aren't idiots.
Yeah.
You know, so when I hear people saying, someone loses a goal, the obvious one now, playing out from the back. So Liverpool and Brighton at the weekend can see goals playing out from the back. I wouldn't say they're wrong to play out from the back, because every team or every top team in the world are doing it. So am I saying all these managers are wrong?
Yeah.
So let's think about this. You know, so to say that is absolutely stupid, ridiculous. Now you can say, well, okay, what was the wrong decision in terms of how to play out from the back? Or was it just a poor technical error, basically? You know, Lewis Dunk says just a bad pass. If that gets through to the player he wants to, we'll say it's a great pass. He's broke the lines, Brighton are going at Liverpool's, whatever. Same with, you know, Van Dijk into McAllister, you know. So they're not wrong for doing that. But so that's what I'm saying. So whatever the new thing is in the future, I'll look at it. So I'm never really massively critical and say, we didn't do this when we were playing, because that's just a nonsense argument. You know, I don't believe in that. You know, the game moves on. It's more technical. This is what players want. This is what managers want. This is what the game wants. So, no, I think you've got to be very careful to get labelled with that.
Yeah. I wondered about social media, and I remember you coming on to Twitter. I think I've been on it maybe a couple of years. Obviously, I don't think you were on when you were playing, where you must have been retired. Could you have done it when you were playing? If you were playing now, could you have been active on social media, or would you steer clear of it?
My advice to people would be to stay clear of it. But I think my personality and my character, I think I might have been on it.
Yeah, couldn't have resisted.
Yeah, not so much to have a go like a fans, because I think I would, because we all get a bit down when we get a bit of criticism and things aren't going well. And what I had to do was maybe reading the letters page in the Liverpool Echo or something like that. Or I always remember there was a radio phone in on Century that you was like, if you were in the car about sort of 6 or 7 o'clock, it was like Graham Sharp, Alan Kennedy. There was a Man City fella. And I'm not sure who the United, I think it was Mickey Thomas was the United.
Oh, right, okay.
Like the four of them. So I think they'd be on every Monday, I don't know if it was every night. And you'd listen to that, and sometimes you might get someone and be critical of you. No, you don't like it. But I do think I am probably, well, I know I am a very strong character. So I think if any player could have put up with it,
yeah,
I think I'd have been one of the ones who could have dealt with it better than others. And it probably would have given me an opportunity to pop back at someone, and I wouldn't have been shy in doing that. So I don't know. My advice to anyone would be not to do that. But I think if there was anyone in the Liverpool dressing room who would have been, I'd have probably been in the 2 or 3 that would have.
I remember you ringing up TalkSport, wasn't it? That was 2000. So when you retired from England duty, wasn't it? And Adrian Durham.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, talk us through that, because that's something that doesn't happen very often, does it? Where you get that. I mean, you might get it on social media now where people are sniping back, but you literally were you sat in the car sort of ready to go? Yeah.
I was. It was basically about me dropping out the retiring from England.
He said you'd bottled it, I think. Something along those lines.
Yeah. And it was pre-season, so we had 2 sessions. So we'd come back at 5 o'clock. So I'm driving in for the second session, and I think drive time on TalkSport started 4 till 7. And he was on it, and he was being a bit loud, but he wasn't saying who it was. I was thinking, oh, sounds lively. I'm driving on the way, I'm leaving our house, and it's me. I'm like a lunatic in the car.
Really?
So, but he's on with Mickey Quinn. So I'm trying to get this number, this TalkSport number. But Adrian's on, every time he goes to break, he just reels this number off, but dead quick. So you can only get the first one, you gotta wait for the next break. So I've got this number. And I remember parking at Melwood, and that's when I got through to TalkSport, and they didn't believe it was me.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So then Mickey Quinn, I don't know if he texted me or he rang me. He said, "Is it you?" I went, "Yeah." I said, "Get me fucking on now." He went, "Listen, all right." He said, "But please don't swear." I went, "All right, no problem." So I actually took the call in the dressing room.
Right.
Yeah, I was in the dressing room, and he's like, "There's other players just sat."
Was it the whole squad sort of listening?
No, I wasn't just sat there. I was like walking around, and I remember we used to have these massage beds by the sauna, and I remember just leaning on the thing, just talking there. You know what I mean? And it's just
brilliant.
Oh God. Yeah. But I was, that's me. That's my personality. I'd give people the time of day. I'll laugh and a joke at anyone, but I just think if someone goes for me or someone I know, I'll
You'll stand up for yourself, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember Frank Lampard doing something similar, I think.
Did he? Yeah.
I'm sure he done something on a phone as well. Might have been TalkSport as well. Can you take me inside then in terms of your weekend then around football? Let's say a typical week where you've got a Monday night football involved. What would be your sort of process for a working weekend and covering the Premier League?
Well, it'd probably start Friday because I'd want to see most of the managers' interviews on Sky. So I'd make sure I'd watch Sky about 5, 6 o'clock. All the interviews are done by then, and you get a good hour there of you see Pep, Klopp, all the big managers speaking. I'd read the papers every day anyway. I would watch every game basically. So I would watch the 12:30 game. I wouldn't make notes on the 12:30 game.
Yeah.
Because it's on BT and we can only show a minute's coverage of it anyway. So if it was a massive game like the derby's on BT in a couple of weeks, we've got a Monday night football, so you'd almost know. Well, I won't be analysing that, but if the game's unbelievable and it's something bad happens, you will have to, but you've got to try and cram it for a minute.
Yeah.
Really. So you might only be doing the goals anyway. So you wouldn't be making notes on the actual tactics of the game. If you were going to do it, would be the big incident. So I'd watch it without analysing it and writing notes. I would, obviously the 3 o'clocks are on, so whatever I'd do, probably watch, the Soccer Saturday show, and then I'd watch the R5 game. And then if there's been a bit of a big result at 3 o'clock, basically whatever the best game's on, that's on at 8 o'clock or half 8.
Yeah, on the match.
Game of the day. It's not match. I think it's called game of the day.
Right, sorry.
So if there's something big's happened, let's say United got beaten up or something like that. It's happening quite a lot. Well, you think, because with Monday Night Football, it's always what's the story. You're not going to do every game. What's the story? So you see something jump out at you at 3 o'clock. That'll normally be game of the day.
Yeah.
So I'll watch that. And I'll think there's a good chance I'm going to do this. So we'll have watched the R5 game, whatever that is, watch game of the day, and then I'll watch match of the day.
Right.
So basically Saturday is just non-stop football from 12:30. Yeah. And then watch match of the day.
Are you watching match of the day to see what they pick out as well? So Alan Shearer does a piece on Alexander Isak's movement. You're not going to do that obviously on Monday night.
Yeah. I look at it. Sometimes I'll look at it and I'll say, that was good that. But I can do it better. They've nailed that. Mm. And you know what? No, I might have to do something different. But more often, match of the day is different.
Yeah, it's
haven't got the
time. Isn't it?
I'm not critical. You just haven't got the time. You've got to get through goals. You've got to show every game. So they can very rarely give a game, I think, the attention it needs just because of the nature of the show.
Yeah.
Whereas we can just do 2 games if we want, or we can do 4, or we can do whatever we want. So yeah, I'd almost watch match of the day a little bit to see what they're doing. But also, just to have seen all the goals, I know what's happened, the big incidents. And then Sunday, even if I was doing a Monday, more often than not, I'd probably be doing something Sunday with commentating on a game.
Yeah, Super Sunday.
So, my next one, Monday night, I'm commentating on Aston Villa West Ham. Okay. But for whatever reason, there's not another game. I think that's the only game. So I will travel down to London after that game. And I'd really watch match of the day too. Because more often than not on a Monday night football, it's the Sunday games we probably look to analyse more. Yeah. One, because they're probably the bigger games. That's why they're on Sky on the Sunday. And also, sometimes you think, is this from Saturday to Monday night?
Yeah,
there's been that much fresh talk and analysis and the Monday papers, and you're a bit like, but if something's that big, you got to do it.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit. So that's almost the sort of thinking. And if there's a massive game, you're doing it no matter what. It's just that big a game. Arsenal are playing City. Even if the game is terrible, you still got to look at it. So that's my thought process. So if Monday Night Football's on, I would watch everything that was on TV over that weekend to know I was across it all, and then basically come up with ideas of stuff that we can do.
Do you do? What's the split in terms of finding clips? Are you obviously you've got researchers, you've got producers who'll do it, but are you one of them who's like, show me every clip of Rodri receiving the ball or whatever?
No one does the clips. I've always done my own clips.
Really, yeah?
Yeah. We got a lot of help in terms of stats.
Yeah.
A lot of help, or someone will put something in the group chat. And sometimes you'll think something and you'll ask for something and it will come out as a great stat. You know, so
Yeah.
you think, I know I've seen that. Or sometimes you watch something and you think, I want to check the numbers, and sometimes it's completely the opposite. You're thinking, oh, forget that then.
I've done
You
a
won't
few
put
of them,
that
the
in.
articles where
Yeah,
you're saying
you've
he's
done that.
terrible, and you think, actually, he's doing all right.
Or you think you've got a piece of analysis. There's any stats to back this up, and the stats are completely the other way. You think, we won't use the stats today on that one, but I do still want to do it. So we're massively helped by a couple of lads who provide like stats and find things a little bit deeper on things now. Like there was one the other day, it was really good. I wanted to do the Luton. Everton corner.
Yeah.
And there was a stat, nothing to do with me, but the stat lad found out that the short corners for Everton were like 26%, but the next team were like 40 or something mad. We think that's mad. I thought, well, we have to use that. That's that good that we always have to do. It's almost the stats more important than the clip.
Yeah, you build your analysis around that stat.
Yeah, that's too good. And Luton have scored, so we're going to do that. But no, the clips with me, it was different now because I'm fair. I've got Y Scout.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's brilliant, you know. For
I've used it for.
But it makes it so much easier. Before, me and Gary would get into Monday Night Football and have ideas, but we wouldn't really have seen the clips. We would have seen the live games and stuff, but we would then go to an edit room and get on the big camera. There'd be like 2 or 3 TVs in there, but it's still at 11, 12 o'clock.
Yeah, so it's a
we
bit of a
really nailed the
bit
show.
of a rush, yeah.
So I feel like we're probably we almost know what we're doing now when we get to the Monday morning meeting rather than before. It was a bit like we trash ideas out, go and find the clips. And on a Sunday night, I'd be going, right, I'm doing this, here's the clips, I'm going to find, I've got them, and I'll send them into the group chat, right, have them ready for me rather than me not knowing what I was going to do.
Talk about the technology. I mean, how hard was that to grasp around it? Because I think I've heard you speak about, I've heard Gary speak as well about when you're pressing something and it's not coming up and you have that moment of panic. But it looks so easy and slick. I saw you with Frank Lampard the other day with the team on the floor and all that. You said just walk and see where you stand on the position. But how long did it take you to get a grasp of sort of how to work those kind of things? They're always changing as well.
The best way to describe it is I'm not a technical person at all. I'm terrified. If I don't really know how to do something, I just stay away from it. But when you're forced to do something, it's not that hard. The best way to describe it is a new phone.
Yeah.
You get a new phone, a few days, you're still remembering the old way. Before you know it, you're thinking, oh, just do it. And that's the same with me on the touch screen. I would never go near a computer. I haven't got a laptop or not like that. I've got an iPad, I haven't got a computer or not like that. I don't even know where to start or like creating database, whatever is on there. I wouldn't have a clue about computers, but that is just like, because you use it so often.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 you know.
Muscle memory almost.
Yeah. So it's not that difficult. It's just that thing of, on my first show, pressing something and it not working. And then you've just got to press play to override everything.
Right.
And I always remember, so it feels like it's 10 seconds, but it's probably only one I've pressed it. And I'm just stopped. And the producer's coming into me and said, press play. But I think he's talking to me, and I've gone, okay. So I've just said okay on Monday Night Football just for nothing. You know what I mean? You just think and I've pressed it play and it went from there. But it's like, if it goes wrong now, sometimes I don't mind it going wrong.
Yeah.
Because I think it shows people at home that it's live. It's not
polished. It's not too polished. Yeah.
You're trying to press something a couple of times, you bang off, don't know what's happened there. Get off that and you'll do something else. I think it shows people that it's not 100% perfect, because if it was, I think it probably would look almost like, we did it before, or we'd rehearsed it, it wasn't live. So I don't mind the touch game, but the new studio I absolutely love.
Do you have a say in that? How that did you and Gary have a say in how that was going to look? Yeah.
Not so much how it looked, but you're thinking about
what you need.
What you need, but also I do think we're not both like, this is our show. Someone else will do it in the future.
Yeah.
Whatever, I don't know. But I always want our Monday Night Football show to be seen as the best. And it's like, we've got to keep let's not wait for everyone to catch us up. We've got to keep, so we've got this studio now, we've got to, for me, the floor's a game changer.
Yeah.
For me, being on the floor and almost having it like a pitch and the big screen, and when you go in there, I just look and I think, wow, it just looks brilliant,
Place to work.
Yeah, so you think, okay, we like that seating area, we like the stood up area. We've got to have something where we can move about. We never really had that before, where you can almost reenact things and have a big screen there, doing a little bit of analysis, speaking to the managers. It just, the studio now and the bit on the floor is a game changer, where I'm walking with Thomas Frank on the floor,
Yeah,
or what he's doing
yeah.
at Brentford, Frank Lampard, Liverpool, and I think people have really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think it's taken us to another level.
Yeah. Speak about when you're going into it. I think I heard you talk about Brian Barwick, that you sought advice from him. Were there many people that you sought advice from, not necessarily about whether to go into the media, but what sort of just little bits? And I think you said he gave you a great piece of advice about not going for the big hit almost every time.
Funny you say that. My dad bumped into him last week.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, my dad was away, and he ended up going for a couple of meals with him. But I didn't sort of get in touch with him from advice. I think we had a bit of a relationship in that he was a massive Liverpool fan, and he was involved at the FA as I was coming to the end of it. So we built a little relationship. I'd done ITV before I'd finished, and he was very big at ITV and BBC. I think his big thing is he got Alan Hansen onto Match of the Day. And so he'd worked in TV a lot. He had great experience of it. And you're right what he said, don't hit a six off every ball. Just like little things people tell you. And I know what he means. Well, I think it's pretty obvious what he means, that you don't have to say something big and outrageous for headlines every time you're asked a question. There's times when, I think it comes with experience, when you know this is a time to go big. This is a big story. You've got to nail this. And there's other times when, I always remember at Sky, and I just started and made a bit of an impact. Me and Gary, Monday Night Football, everyone said, oh, it's great news too, and laughing. And I remember the producer pulling me before a Monday Night Football show in the morning when we got on. He said, listen, he said, you know, tonight, he said, we don't know what the show is yet. He said, but last time we were on, you had a good go with him. You had to pop it in a week later. He said, tonight's the night to just do a nice analysis and be positive. You don't want to get a reputation of like, every time you're on TV, you batter someone. And that's not what I was doing it for. That might be the analysis, but he was a bit like, if something needs to be said big tonight, don't paint yourself into a corner. He was a bit like, have a good show, but have great analysis, maybe be positive on someone. You don't want to get that reputation of being, he was having a go, you know, because, and I don't want to be that anyway. And that wasn't me aiming before that. It was just something that he said. I thought, that's a good bit of advice.
I'm interested in that, because I think one of the things that people often get accused of, pundits, I think even, you know, on fan media and things like that, is that you're saying things for the 30-second clip as opposed to the 10-minute analysis, and that, you know, obviously everyone loves Roy, but when Roy does rolls his eyes or says, you know, his catchphrases, you know, well, that's his job or whatever. Does that cross your mind ever, that when you're sitting having a, when Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank's in the middle of you and Roy or whoever having a go, are you ever thinking, oh, that's gonna be the clip that gets shared around, or are you you're just in the moment of sort of?
You're in the moment, really, but you're not daft. I don't think. I mean, you're not stupid. You know how the game works, and that's it. You know, clickbait it's called, isn't it? You know, and the one little thing. But I am aware of the fact that you could be on a TV show for, you know, Monday Night Football is probably, what is it? 4 hours, isn't it? 4 hours. There's probably only going to be 2 or 3 things that really stand out that people are going to latch on to. And I do think you've got to be, I think I am pretty aware of what that'll be. You know what I mean? You understand what I mean? So it's a bit like, that doesn't mean to say I don't put as much effort into the other stuff. I still want to do, I want everything to be brilliant, but you know there's going to be 2 or 3 things. So if I'm doing a piece on first Monday Night Football, I think Casemiro's legs have gone. I've noticed that Anfield last season. I didn't like what I saw. It took me back to watching Fabinho last year for Liverpool, and I'm thinking, my thought process is, I think this. I want to be the first to say it. I don't want to say it when everyone knows his legs have gone. I think this now. I'm going to back myself. And I know this will go big. So I'm going to make sure my analysis around this has got to be like on point. So I'm not doing it for that reason.
But you're
aware what big things will go big and what won't. Or, you know, certain subjects will, just because of the Liverpool Man United rivalry. But so I've got to make. I know. So I'm thinking, right, what do I want to say? What clip do I want to use? Don't rush what you're going to say. Make sure you get it. But you know, you get it right, because this is the one that you know is going to go.
Some of the guests you've had on throughout, I mean, Thomas Frank you mentioned there earlier, I think he got a massive reaction, didn't he, when he came on? I think people were sort of blown away by how open he was. And how do you find the football world now in terms of the receptiveness to sort of sharing bits? Because I imagine, you know, good luck trying to get Alex Ferguson to come on if it was in his ear and Arsene Wenger or whoever. Like, how do you find that sort of? Do you think people are more open about speaking about themselves and their
Well, don't forget, we've had
tactics?
Klopp on. Klopp for me was still the best guest that we
Yeah.
had. That completely, like, everyone. The great thing about Klopp,
He knew the TV as well, didn't he?
well, he'd done TV before. He was open. I can't remember the game, but he was going through a corner. What Liverpool conceded a goal from a corner. He was going through what they should have done and the mistake what a person made. And I think even when you say Thomas Frank was really open, if I'm being totally honest, for us at home, people watching at home, they're going, wow, this is really open. But in terms of what he was talking about, it was still, I would say basic stuff, but it was still like...
Could you have done it without him? As in...
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it was just nice. Okay, what do you think when the ball's here? What do your team do? And it's nice for us to hear that. But I think there's that much analysis now at clubs. There's no secrets. There's no club is going into a game not knowing what the opposition are going to do. They're just not. There's just that many people and that many eyes on every game. You know, why scout different angles? It's not happening. So I actually hope that makes managers more open. As I said, we had Klopp come on, Pep's been on in the past with Gary. We were thinking about other managers that we can get on. And they're the people I want to get on.
Yeah.
Top managers, their insights, how they see the game. And don't forget, Thomas Frank's not giving us anything. He knows. Yeah. He's thinking, I'm not going to get that. I'll give them a little bit of something that'll keep everyone happy, really. But yeah, I always think that could Gary was doing the job before me. Could you've ever got Alex Ferguson on? Yeah. You know, that what a show that would be, a show about tactics or I think Wenger does be in sport, doesn't he? Yeah. But whether he goes, that almost feels like a pundit show in terms of not, you know, the maybe analysis or the
personality show, right?
Yeah. So I'd love to get Arsene Wenger on the floor talking about his team and stuff like that. So, but we're just always racking our brains for getting. Really, yeah. Yeah, and what we can do a little bit different.
Do you think the standard? Obviously, it's so widespread, the analysis now, and I know you're a big fan of, like, not necessarily mainstream analysis in terms of, you know, you blogs who write tactical analysis or statistical things. Do you think the standard is? Do you feel that it's going up and up, and that you have to keep on top of it? Because probably a lot of pundits have probably been accused in the past, maybe more on BBC ITV of maybe cruising and just sort of, you know, golf club kind of humour and that kind of stuff. Do you feel a pressure to maintain that you're a step ahead almost?
Yeah, and I think that's a fair criticism in the past. I don't think it's a fair criticism now, because I just think with social media now, I think it's made everyone up the game, and I think one, you'll get called out, and two, some of the analysis on social media from fans on their own clubs is brilliant, and I follow a lot of them. Yeah, I just do. You know, if I see anyone who's almost like a tactic guy of a club, I'll just follow, and sometimes they'll follow me back and they might private message me, and now and again I will. If I'm doing a club who are probably not in the top 6 or 8, or I don't watch, or I don't, you know, they're not live on TV all the time, and you're doing a game, there might be a fan who I follow, I'd private message them. Right. And I just ask sort of 4 or 5 questions.
What are they talking about, the fans?
Yeah, what are the fans saying? What's the big problem at the moment with the team, or what he's not happy with the team he's picking up? What's the reason? What's going on? You know, you don't need to at the top 6, because it's in the paper every day, and really. But with teams, I don't do that often, because I always say this: I don't know more about Burnley or Crystal Palace than their fans. Yeah. I just don't. How can I? Yeah. They watch every single game they play. You know, I keep up to date on, like, the results, see the goals on Match of the Day, but I can't possibly know that. So I do respect supporters' opinions, and some of the analysis on social media now, I think, is brilliant in supporters. And what it does is, it makes it tougher for Monday night, because on Monday, you know, it was always seen as like we did something no one had seen before. I don't always think that's the case now, because I think, you know, as soon as the game's happened, everyone's analysed it. The Athletic probably analyse football games now unbelievably well, the way we would on a Monday Night Football. They've got all the stills and stuff like that, but we've got probably a greater audience, people, you know, so we can, you know, sometimes I might say, oh, you read the Athletic Monday morning, you might think, oh, they've done that piece on something I'd do, but I'd go, well, how many people have read it? Not being disrespectful. So you've also got to think, well, am I going to change what I'm going to do because of that, or because I do it different, or you know? So there's a little bit of that. So I actually think what fans are doing now, you know, the analytical work is brilliant.
What about co-coms in terms of, because I was a new, I don't know I don't know whether I remember it rightly. Was the first one you did, was it Burnley? Was it Liverpool away at Burnley? I'm
No,
not sure.
what that was, what they wanted. I mean, Scott Melvin, who was, I think I mentioned him before, he was the producer, and he looked after Gary when he first come in. And a lot of people are a little bit nervy about doing cold comments. One, because they're on a warm, nice studio.
Yeah.
Number one.
I've seen your Gantry walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of them are dicey, aren't they, those Gantries?
And number two, you get a lot of criticism for it. But Sky, not just Sky, I suppose everyone, they're trying to push people, not push people into it, but they know a lot of people don't want to do it. So they're always saying, well, when you're actually on the cold com, that's when there's most viewers.
Yeah.
You know, there's most people listening to what you're saying. So they're trying to entice people to do it. I wouldn't say I've got a great voice, you know, my, Scouse accent, but it doesn't bother me that. I always think the Scottish voice.
Yeah,
it's just made.
It's classic co-commentary. Yeah, I think Davy Provan and Andy Gray.
Andy Gray, everyone loves Ali McCoist now. The thing I love about Ali McCoist is the commentator, whoever's with Ali McCoist is the only co-com they're brave enough to put a picture on social media before the game.
Yeah.
With Ali today, and everyone's going, can't wait for this.
John Champion, and
Champion. Or anyone, with Ali, we'll post something. I mean, I'm not sure anyone at Sky, with Gary today, or with Cat, that'll go down well.
Yeah.
But I love doing it.
Do you? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not. It just honestly, God, criticism on social media doesn't bother me one bit, not at all. And it is that moment where it takes you back.
Yeah.
To being a player, you know that, like, and when you're in a big game and it's happening, and it's like you just feel like you're playing, and it's brilliant. And there's a lot of shit games, of course there is.
Yeah.
You know, but like Liverpool Arsenal last year was unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, Arsenal completely dominating, then Liverpool getting back in, attacking the Kop. Liverpool nearly getting the win, and then Arsenal nearly going up the other end. And me and Gary were almost like, you're falling on top of each other. It's like, you're almost, it's nearly a goal, and you're grabbing it, it's like, you're
involved in the game. Yeah.
And listen, that's not all the time, to be honest. That you probably get 3 or 4 games a season like that. But co-commentary for me is all about the last minute goal, the winner.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like when that happens, that's just like the roof comes off.
Alisson,
look at Jurgen Klopp with Alisson. The West Brom game.
One,
And that's what it's about. And you've got to, I keep saying in punditry, you've got to know when to go big.
Yeah.
And a last minute winner can't get any bigger. It just can't, you know. And sometimes, well, more often than not, I mean, listen, I'm not daft. People accuse me of being biased to Liverpool, whether I'm in co-commentary or not. Well, number one, I do a lot of Liverpool games. Number two, they win a lot. And the season when they were going for the league, the first year, they just kept scoring the last minute.
Yeah.
It happened probably 4 or 5 times. So you've got to go big.
Yeah.
So I think they did it against
Little Dancer.
Mo Salah, you little dancer. The derby.
Yeah.
Away at Newcastle.
Yeah.
They got one. There was another game, and I was co-commenting all of them. And I'm a bit like, well, I don't get bogged down, but I don't get bothered if people say it, to be honest, because I don't think I am, but I don't care really. But I said, well, listen to me on another last minute goal for another team.
Yeah.
And then if some, like West Ham...
I was going to say, I think the loudest I've ever heard you, non-Liverpool, was it Lanzini at Tottenham when it was that screamer from 3, they were 3-0 down, weren't they?
Yeah, and they scored last kick of the game. It's wow. You know, just an unbelievable game. But a couple of times Liverpool have... I always remember, I don't know if it was last season. No, it wasn't me last season, it was the year before. We got beat away at West Ham. I think we got beat 3-1. But the third goal, it was very late. And I went big on it because the game, it was even though it wasn't a winner, it was the winner. The game was over.
Yeah.
And it was that stadium it was like, so you've got to encapsulate what the stadium is.
Yeah.
And I always remember my mate's dad saw me the next day in town. He was a bit, all right, he was like, you like that? But I'm a bit like, well, I can't, that would be being biased.
Yeah.
That would be me going, oh, West Ham, I've got the third goal. You've got to go. Boom.
That's almost the idea that you're doing something right, isn't it? If you're getting criticised for being too kind and for being too harsh, that you sort of...
But it'd be nice to get positive from both sides. Rather than the criticism.
Yeah,
but no, it doesn't. You've got to go big on a last-minute winner. You've just got to, no matter where it goes.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, there's a lot of criticism of colleagues of yours, isn't there? You know, I'm thinking of Martin Tyler in the past has had criticism, but every commentator gets criticism, and it's sort of usually comes to the sort of.
He thinks they're against their team.
Yeah,
they just do. Everyone thinks I'm against their team. It's the tribalism of football. And to be honest, it used to bother me a little bit when I first started. It doesn't interest me now, and the reason it doesn't is because you can't control it.
Yeah.
You can't stop it. You know, so it's just like, it is what it is.
Yeah. What about, I'll come to the end now, but what about the sort of the attention that you get now that you're in the media compared to when you were playing? Because it's a different, I'm guessing it is a different type. You're sort of, you're in people's living rooms more, aren't you, in terms of, not literally, I hope, but in terms of the exposure that you're getting, you're sort of maybe more, the general football fan knows your face and knows you and sees you about a bit more. Well, how do you find that in terms of that? I know there's been some incidents and high-profile incidents involving not just yourself but other pundits. But how do you find that kind of attention?
I don't mind it.
Yeah,
I don't mind it. I mean, it's a lot more. Sometimes in the past when you were a player, you think, I can go to London, bit of fun with the missus, staying a couple of nights in Old Town. You get the odd thing.
You told me, was it Thierry Henry? Someone stopped you at the traffic lights when you were shopping and said, Thierry Henry.
No, that was when I was a player. That was a great story. When I was a player, I was in the middle of London. So I'm with Nicola. I was trying to get back to the hotel, and there was the tubes was off or something. There's a train strike or something. I'm just stood in the middle of London like a lunatic, and how are we got no one stopping? There's traffic everywhere, sweat pissing out of me, and this taxi driver just went past with like a bit like a cardboard thing. It just had Thierry Henry's name on it.
Wow, he's written that out quick, hasn't he? I haven't seen you there for a while. But you can't escape it now. Obviously, in terms of if you go to London for a weekend, everyone knows.
No, you can't. It's very difficult to go anywhere now in the country.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's like anything. You're the same. Group mentality is different to into a couple of people on their own. And I would say 99% out of 100 fans are brilliant. You know, when you're having a bit of a laugh, a taxi driver or this, and you know, you have a bit of banter with them, and it's fine. It's just that when it's always around the football ground normally with a group of people. You know what I mean? You know, you go into like a rival or something like that. But you know what? More often than not, football fans are, you know, decent lads, decent fellas. I'm not one of them who wants to hide away from fans. I do love having a bit of a crack and a bit of banter and you know what's going on at your team and a little one liner back or something. As long as it, you know, it is what it is. So I don't mind it. But it is. I think social media as well now.
Yeah,
it's just, you know, all the kids are on the phones, are they? So it is. I mean, the actual fame of being on the TV as opposed to playing on the TV is completely different.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, I was going to ask about the fame with managers, really, in terms of, you know, sort of, do you get people messaging you sort of saying, you know, you shouldn't have said that, or don't you know, we'll give you information but don't give away secrets and that kind of thing when you know, we'll give you.
I don't ask anyone.
So I remember seeing Davy Provan speaking, and he said the biggest regret he ever had was that he used to get the Celtic team, and he said one day he told the producer who asked the manager about his team, and he said, how did you get that? And he said it caused absolute mayhem. But you know, I always assume when you put the formation out for a Monday night that you've had a little tip of the wink from the manager. Is that not usually the case now?
I'd never ask. I never ever want to get too close to anyone in the game because of that reason. It'd stop you. So people always say to me, "Oh, do you still work? Do you still have a job?" Or they always think that I've got some link at Liverpool now.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I've got no job. I'm paid by Liverpool, or I'm not an ambassador or nothing, and I wouldn't want to be because of that reason of knowing too much and then feeling like you can't say a certain thing. I'm close with a couple of managers. And that's only through, like Steve Cooper at Forest, just because he coached James as a kid at the academy, and it's like, I can't then over say, I'm not speaking to you. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I speak to him now and again. If Forest are on Monday Night Football, I might try and get hold of him the day before. Not for his team. I'm not really interested in that, to be honest. More about what's the general feeling, how you feeling, how's it looking.
New signings, maybe.
Yeah, sort of giving information on a play maybe you don't know, or stuff like that. So no, it doesn't... No, so don't then get anyone ever sort of getting in touch with me. You shouldn't have done this, or being funny with me over anything. But if someone did give me information, I'd be like, sometimes I might get the team before them.
Yeah.
So we might find out someone will let you know something.
Well, you're always casing me when I see you at games. That's the first thing you always ask, isn't it, who's starting?
Yeah. But that's very rarely, and if it was, you'd always hide it.
Yeah. You're not gonna blow anyone up.
A little bit. But when you're talking about Martin Tyler had an unbelievable relationship with almost every manager or club, whether it was like the press officer, and he would always know the team
and where someone was playing as well. Maybe
he would know it all, but he would never tell me or Gary. He would never tell anyone at Sky. He would wait. It was just so he could prepare his stats on everyone, what he was going to say when the teams were coming out before the game. But they knew they could trust him, right, with the life.
And just finally, I mean, it's always, I think you've always said it, and you know, it's been part of your personality, your character of loving football from, well, God knows what age. But I think that comes across in what you do, that you still have that. I mean, it's never really dimmed for you. I know you say you've had 17 years as a player and 10 in punditry. Yeah. There's been no let up.
No, I don't think I'd ever lose enthusiasm for football, and that's why I think, hopefully, fingers crossed, I think I could be doing punditry, whether that's at Sky or somewhere else, for quite a long time. So people who've been doing it as long as me, I'm not sure they'd be able to keep that same enthusiasm as me. And also people coming out the game, I think there'd be very few who'd love football as much as me, or would read as much as me, and sort of still watch football as much as me. So that's probably a strength of mine that'll probably help me, you know, in doing what I'm doing.
It's probably one of the biggest criticisms I see of pundits is that they don't give that impression sometimes. That they you know, they're a bit like, oh, it's a chore, or you know, like, I had to watch that game today. I don't ever get that feeling from you.
It's funny, you know, I always remember something. I always remember Robbie Fowler saying in an interview when he was a player once, and I don't know if this is still true, I'm not trying to knock Robbie by any means, but he said something like, this is when he was a player, I don't watch a lot of live games because it might finish 0-0.
Right, yeah.
And it always stuck in my head, that. And I always think, I could still get something from a 0-0. Yeah. I could still find something to interest me. Or think, why is he playing there? Or he's played well, he's done well against him. Or a 0-0 would still interest me.
Yeah.
You know, it's not...
Yeah, I can
understand what I mean?
Yeah,
so
it's almost like the purest sort of...
Yeah, there's more to it than just the goals, basically.
Yeah.
Really. So that was something that maybe a lot of players think, or they think, oh, I'll just watch match of the day for the highlights, I don't watch the full game, or things like that.
Yeah, so 10 more years then, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
20 more years. I'm going to say 20 more years you'll be doing it. It'll be AI.
Yeah.
AI punditry coming up soon.
Yeah. I have to get on top of that.
Absolutely. Well, no, listen, thanks for taking the time today. I really do appreciate it. Thanks to the Anfield Wrap for the setting. I said it was a bit Frost Nixon, but it probably wasn't quite as intense, the interview. Thanks to Ash for producing as well, and thanks to everyone for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed as much as I did. Thanks. Keep the likes, subscribes, comments, kind words coming. Thanks for following. Cheers, guys.